Today we're talking about a major political upset in the Democratic primary race where reports suggest that a long-time US Representative Adriano Esperat has lost his primary contest to Eliza Avila Chevalier, a candidate backed by progressive activist and New York Assembly member Zohran Mamdani. This result has created a lot of discussion in political circles, especially because Espaillat is a major and well-known established figure where Chevalier represents a newer wave of progressive politics. To understand the situation in simple words, let's first look at who Adriano Espaillat is. He is a Democratic American politician who has served in the United States Congress representing part of New York. Over the years, he has built a strong reputation as a senior Democratic leader focusing on immigration issues, housing rights, and support for working-class communities. Many people know him as a stable and experienced voice in his district, and he has won multiple elections in the past with solid support. On the other side, Eliza Avila Chevalier is a rising political figure who has gained a lot of attention as part of a new progressive movement. She is reportedly supported by Zohran Mamdani, who is known for his strong progressive stance in New York politics. Mamdani and his allies have been pushing for candidates who focus more on bold reform such as strong tenant protection, affordable housing expansion, higher taxes on wealthy groups, and deeper change in public services. Chevalier's campaign is believed to have connected strongly with young voters and community activists who want more aggressive change in political system. According to the reports around the primary, the race became very competitive in its final stages. Espaillat relied on his long-term experience, established voter base, and community relationships. His campaign focused on continuity, stability, and his past achievements in Congress. However, Chevalier's campaign focused on change, fresh energy, and addressing rising concerns like rent pricing, cost of living, and economic inequality in more direct ways. One of the key reasons for this race becomes so closely watched is because it represents a big trend happening in American politics. Across the United States, there have been growing divide between traditional Democrats and newer progressive challengers. Traditional Democrats usually focus on gradual reforms and working with existing systems, while progressive challengers often push for faster and more dramatic policy changes. This primary is seen as another example of that internal political shift. Supporters of Chevalier argued that voters are looking for newer leadership because many communities are struggling with high housing costs, health care challenges, and income inequality. They believe that candidates bring fresh ideas and more willing to challenge powerful interests. On the other hand, supporters of Espaillat say that experience matters, especially in Congress, where relationships and long-term knowledge can help pass legal legislation. During the campaign, both sides worked hard to reach voters. Door-to-door campaigning, community meeting, and social media outreach played a big role. In modern elections like this, digital influence is becoming an important part of traditional campaigning. Chevalier's campaign is believed to have used strong grassroots organizing, which means relying on volunteers and local community supports rather than big political donors. Another important factor in this race is the role of endorsements. Zohran Mamdani's backing reportedly helped bring attention and energy to Chevalier's campaign. Endorsements from progressive leaders can sometimes shift voter attention, especially among younger and more activist organized groups. Meanwhile, Espaillat also has its own network of supporters and institutional backing, but it seems the momentum is in this particular race lean towards change. If this result stands, it could send a strong message with the Democratic Party. It may encourage more progressive candidates to challenge established incumbents in future primaries. It could also push over long-time politicians to adjust their policies to better align with the concerns of young voters and working-class communities. However, it is also important to understand that primary election often reflects local dynamics. What happens in one district does not always represent the entire country. Voters in different areas have different priorities, and political outcomes can vary widely depending on local issues. Still, this reported outcome highlights a key theme in modern politics: the tension between experience and challenge. change. Aspirant represents experience, stability, and long-term service, while Chevalier represents change, new ideas, and more progressive direction. Both perspectives have strong arguments, and voters ultimately decide which direction they prefer. As the political conversation continues, both supporters and critics of this result will be analyzing what led to the shift. Was it political difference, campaign strategy, voter turnout, or changing demographics? These are the questions political analysts will continue to discuss in the coming days. In conclusion, this reported democratic primary result shows how fast political landscapes can change, even for well-established leaders. It reflects a growing demand among some voters for new voices and new approaches in government, while also raising questions about the balance between experience and reform in leadership. My opinion is that this result shows how strongly voters are now focused on everyday issues like rent, jobs, and living costs, and they want leaders who directly address these problems with action instead of promises. In my view, this kind of political shift also reminds us that democracy keeps evolving and every election becomes a test of what people truly want from their representatives.